Oh, hello, friend. I see you found my room. Oh, don't mind me. I was just enjoying a good book. I do so love a good story every now and then. Takes you out of this reality. And the reality after that, too. Ha ha! Ah. Are you enjoying your stay at the hotel? That's wonderful to hear, friend. Just wonderful to hear. I mean, if I had it my way, I would have it no other way. Here, come. Why don't you sit around a while? Get comfortable. Tell you what, I'll read you the final chapter to the book I'm on. I'm sure you'll have quite the doozy listening. I'm quite the reader myself. There, come on, sit. There you go. Get comfortable. Maybe take a nap. Now, where was I? Oh, yeah. He drifted the crowd towards the door in the rear. In the anteroom sat men at cards, dim in the smoke. He moved on, a woman taking chits from the men as they passed through to the shed of the rear of the building. She looked up to him. He had no chit. She directed him to a table where a woman was selling the chits and stuffing the money with a piece of shingle through a narrow slit through an iron strongbox. He paid his $1 and took the stamped brass token and rendered it up to the door and passed it through. He found himself a large hall with a platform for the musicians. At one end, a large homemade Sheraton stove. At the other, whole squadrons of whores were working at the floor. In their stained peignoirs, their green stockings and melon-colored drawers, they drifted through the smoky oil light like make-believe wontons, at once childlike and lewd. A dark little dwarf of a whore took his arm and smiled at him. "I seen you right away," she said. "I always pick the one I want." She led him through a door where an old Mexican woman was handing out towels and candles, and they ascended like refugees of some sorry disaster the darkened plankboard stairwell of the upper rooms. Lying in the little cubicle with his trousers at his knees, he watched her. He watched her take up her clothes and don them, and he watched her hold the candle up to the mirror and study her face there. She turned to him. "Let's go," she said. "I got to go." "Go on." "You can't lie there. Come on, I got to go." He sat up and swung his legs over the edge of the little iron cot and stood and pulled his trousers up and buttoned them and buckled his belt. His hat was on the floor and he picked it up, slapped it against the side of his leg, and put it on. "You need to get down there and get you a drink," she said. "You'll be all right." "I'm all right now." He went out. He turned at the end of the hallway and looked back. Then he went down the stairs. She had come to the door. She stood in the hallway, holding the candle and brushing her hair back with one hand, and she watched him descend into the dark of the stairwell. Then she pulled the door shut behind her. He stood at the edge of the dance floor. A ring of people had taken the floor and were holding hands and grinning and calling up to one another. A fiddler sat on a stool on the stage, and a man walked up and down calling out the order of the dance, and gesturing and stepping in the way he wished them to go. Outside, in the darkened lots, group of wretched tonquaks stood in the mud with their faces composed in strange, lost portraits. With the middle of the shashwalk of the window lights, the fiddler rose and set the fiddle to his jaw. There was a shout, and the music began with a ring of dancers began to rotate ponderously with a great shuffling. He went out the back. The rain had stopped and the air was cold. He stood in the yard. Stars were falling across the sky, myriad and random, speeding along brief vectors from their origins in the night to their destinies in dust and nothingness. Within the hall of the fiddle squealed the dancers, shuffled and stomped. In the street, men were calling for the little girl whose bear was dead, for she was lost. They went among the darkened lots with lanterns and torches, calling out to her. He went down the chalkboard towards the Jakes. He stood outside, listening to the voices fading away, and he looked again at the silent tracks of the stars, where they died over the darkened hills. Then he opened a rough board door of the Jakes, and stepped in. The judge was seated upon the closet. He was naked, and he rose up smiling, and gathered him in his arms against the immense and terrible flesh, and shot the wooden bottle cart home behind him. In the saloon, the two men who wanted to buy the hide were looking for the owner of the bear. The bear lay on the stage in an immense pool of blood. All the candles had gone out, save one, and it guttered uneasily into grease, like a volatile lamp. In the dance hall, a young man had joined the fiddler, and he kept the measure of music with a pair of spoons, which he clapped between his knees. The horse sashayed half naked, some with their breasts exposed in the mudded dog-yard behind the premise. Two men went down the boards towards the Jakes. A third man was standing there urinating into the mud. "Is someone there?" said the first man. The man who was relieving himself did not look up. "I wouldn't go in there if I was you." "Is somebody in there?" "I wouldn't go in." He hitched himself up and buttoned up his trousers and stepped past them, and he went up to walk towards the lights. The first man watched him go, and then opened the door of the Jakes. "God almighty," he said. "What is it?" He didn't answer. He stepped past the other and went back up the walk. The other man stood looking after him. Then he opened the door and looked in. In the saloon, they had rolled the dead bear onto a wagon sheet. There was a general call for hands. In the anteroom, the tobacco smoke circled the lamps like an eagle fog, and the men bid and dealt in a low mutter. There was a lull in the dancing, and a second fiddler took the stage, and the two plucked their strings, and turned the little hardwood pegs until they were satisfied. Many among the dancers were staggering drunk through the room, and some had rid themselves of shirts and jackets, and stood bare-chested in their sweating, even though the room was cold enough to cloud their breath. An enormous whore stood clapping her hands at the bedstand, and calling drunkenly for the music. She wore nothing but a pair of men's drawers, and some of her sisters were wise-clad in what appeared to be trophies, hats or pantaloons, or blue twill cavalry jackets. As the music sought up, there was a lively cry from all, and a caller stood to the front out and called out the dance. And the dancers stomped and hooted and lurched against each other. And they are dancing. The floored boar slamming underneath the jackboots, and the fiddlers grinning hideously at each other. Their canted pieces towering over them all. Is the judge, and he is naked and dancing, his small feet lively and quick, and now in double time, and bowing to the ladies, huge and pale and hairless, like an enormous infant. He never sleeps, he says. He says he'll never die. He bows to the fiddlers and sashays back and throws back his head and laughs deep in his throat. And he is a great favorite, the judge. He wafts his hat, and the lunar dome of his skull passes palely under the lamps. And he swings about and takes possession of one of the fiddles, and he pirouettes and makes a pass, 2 passes, dancing and fiddling at once. His feet are light and nimble. He never sleeps. He says that he will never die. He dances in light and in shadow, and he is a great favorite. He never sleeps, the judge. He is dancing. Dancing. He says that he will never die. I'm quite fond of that book.
Hey guys, as always, thank you for listening, or watching, whatever you did. Yeah, this was just an excuse for me to get to use a radio filter while reading the Blood Meridian, so, will I read another book? Probably not. Okay, I know what you're here for. You want another teaser on the Golden Freddy audio coming soon. And, best I can say is, make sure to check the channel.